When a scientist wants to share the results of their work with a broader community, they do so by publishing a research article. Research articles, which are sometimes just referred as papers, must be submitted to an academic journal, and the journal editors must decide to publish it before it officially becomes part of the scientific literature on that topic. Publishing in an academic journal is competitive. Prestigious journals receive thousands of submissions every year and will publish only a small fraction of them. If a submission is thought by an editor to have enough potential, it will be sent out for peer review. Peer review is a process in which other experts in the field are assigned to give feedback on a paper, to help the editor determine whether or not it is good enough to be accepted by the journal. Oftentimes, the reviewers will send comments to the author to give them a chance to revise the paper before they make their final recommendation to the editor. Research publications are the location where the new scientific ideas are put forward, debated, and accepted or refuted. The research article is one of the most important outputs of any research project. However, they are typically written for other experts, so they can be challenging for non-scientists to understand. In this video, we'll talk about some features research articles have that can help even non-experts understand what the research was about and what the authors think it shows. While the structure of research articles can vary slightly from journal to journal and from discipline to discipline, there is enough similarity that you can be pretty sure that you'll see the elements that we'll discuss here in this video. And if you know what you're looking for, you'll be in a good position to be able to get as much as possible out of reading a scientific paper. The elements of a research article include the abstract, the introduction, the method section, the results or findings section, the discussion section, the conclusion, and the list of references. An abstract is a short statement, typically paragraph length, that tells the reader the whole story of what is in the paper. It will give you a sense of what the authors are attempting to establish with their research, what the research methods were, and what the conclusion they reached was. In the method section, the authors describe the methodology they followed for their study or experiment. They discuss the experimental or study design and the reasons that these choices were made. In the results or findings section, they present the data that they collected. In the discussion section, they offer their analysis of the data and discuss how their findings relate to the research question. The conclusion then ties together their findings with the question they attempted to address by designing the study or experiment, and gives indications of future directions research might pursue to answer any outstanding questions. Finally, the list of references shows you what other papers the authors were engaging with or responding to with their research. So, how do you use this information to help you read a scientific article? Well, it depends on what you want to get out of it. We will talk about two methods. One method for structuring your reading, which will help you get the gist of the article, consists in answering a set of questions corresponding to the typical structure of a paper. On this method, after reading a paper, you should try to answer each of these questions for yourself in 1 or 2 sentences. First, what question or problem did the authors explore or try to answer? You can answer this question typically by reading the introduction section. Usually, authors have a general theoretical problem that they try to address. Trouble is, they don't always say it explicitly. They also have a more specific research question their study was designed to answer. Second, what's the point, purpose, or significance of pursuing these questions and problems? This is one of the most important questions to enable genuine understanding of the rationale behind a piece of scientific research. The rationale, or the main point of a study, links research questions or problems to the methods the authors used to address them. This information can typically be found in the introduction, methods, and discussion sections. Third, what did the authors do to pursue their goals, questions, or problems? You can answer this question typically by taking a look at the methods and/or results sections of papers. These are the most challenging sections. Here, you should try to identify the independent and dependent variables, the researchers manipulated and measured, as well as the conditions under which the study was performed. For instance, ask yourself, was the experiment or the study carried out in the lab? Was it in the field? How many participants did it involve? From where? And how were they selected? Do not get lost in the details here, but do not leave out anything crucial. Fourth, what did the authors find? What were the results of the study? You can answer this question by focusing on the results section of the paper. Results are often expressed in jargon or formal notation, and generally, papers report more than one finding. Focus on facts and try to identify the key result that matters the most in terms of the specific research question and rationale of the study. Finally, fifth, what is the interpretation of the results in the context of the main question addressed by the paper? Or, what do the authors believe their findings mean? You can answer this question by focusing on the discussion section of the paper, where authors often interpret explicitly what their findings mean and how they matter. Consider whether the author's interpretation is warranted by what they did and what they set out to address, and try to figure out if an alternative interpretation of the results might be more warranted and why. Another method of structuring your reading of an article is based on what you need to get out of reading it. If you're not an expert in the area and you're just looking at a paper to get a sense for what the authors claim the research shows, you can read the abstract and skim the conclusion. This will tell you what the research question is and what they think they established by carrying out this research. If you have some expertise in the area and are interested in the choices the researchers made for how to approach the research, reading the abstract, the method sections, the discussion section, and the conclusion should give you a good sense of the research question, the experimental or study design, the impact the data had on their confidence in their hypothesis, and what they think they've shown. If you have significant expertise in the area, also looking at the results section to see what the data looks like might be useful. Scientific articles can be dense and difficult to understand, but knowing what to look for and how to approach them based on what your interests are can help decode this very important kind of source.